Hey everybody, this is Mr. Munson and we're in Chapter 4, Congruent Triangles. So this is of course Concept 7. It's the last of the concepts we're working on. So this is called 4.7. In this concept we're looking at hypotenuse leg. It's the last of the two, or the last of the several shortcuts we're going to use to prove triangles are congruent. Now, I just want to need to make sure that your right triangle vocabulary is up to speed here. In a right triangle, we have two sides that form the right angle. Those two sides are called legs. Now, in an isosceles triangle, we had legs as well, but those, when we're talking in an isosceles triangle, we talk about legs. They're congruent to each other. That's not necessarily true for a right angle or for a right triangle. Simply put, the legs are the two sides, however long they are, that make the right angle. The hypotenuse is the side across from or opposite the right angle. All right, let's move on. All right, so we have the last of our vocabulary here. We have a hypotenuse leg on the last line. Two right triangles are congruent if a leg and a hypotenuse in one triangle is congruent to a leg and a hypotenuse in another. So I have a red and a blue triangle there. Note that they're got the right angle in there, and I could just simply said that they were 90 degrees, and we'd recognize that as a right triangle as well. But look across from the right angle, you'll see the two slashes on both triangles. That indicates the hypotenuses are congruent, and then we have a pair of legs that are congruent. That makes those two triangles congruent by HL. All right, if you take a look at these two triangles, you'll see that in the triangle over here to the left, I have two sides that match two sides over here in the right, and we have that angle 45 and 45. So if you take a look at this, we have an angle that matches up and two pairs of sides. Now we've already gone through this enough times to know that angle side side does not work, and here's a clear illustration of why it doesn't. See, I took that 4 and I can rotate it down here and it eventually matches back up, right? So if I rotate it, you'll see it's too far up right there. It doesn't work. But as I continue to move it down, it eventually will reconnect and form the triangle that we have over on the right-hand side. Okay, so there we have it. A good illustration of why angle side side does not create two congruent triangles. All right, so then take a look at this. This is two triangles, and this kind of, for a lot of students, starts looking like an angle side side situation, which we know does not work. So I have over here, I have a pair of angles and two sets of sides, and then I have an angle and two sets of sides. And I made sure, if you take a look, the side across from the right angle is the same. So it's all looking really like an angle side side, and most students before 4.7 would say these two triangles are not congruent, but they are congruent. See, what we find out is that in what we just said was the HL, that is hypotenuse leg, it's a shortcut. I have in the blue a triangle, and in the red another triangle, both right triangles. It's very important. Let's start with the fact that they have to be right triangles. And then if you take a look, the hypotenuses are congruent and a pair of legs are congruent. Now I made the legs not in the same spot because it's really important for you to understand. It doesn't have to be in the same spot. They just have to be one leg and another leg. So they don't have to, you know, the blue one has a vertical leg that's marked congruent to the horizontal leg over in the red. And so it's really important to understand that's a perfectly okay situation to say if this is the case, then the two triangles are congruent. Okay? Let's just formally write that up in your notes. I'm going to let you put it on pause. Let me scroll it up so you have the whole thing. And go ahead and put those words in your thing. When you get done into your notes, when you get done, don't just walk away from that. Just pause for a few moments, go back and read that series of words that have a high vocabulary for us, and make sure you fully understand what that statement's saying. This statement is this statement in pictures, okay? All right, next up, just to remind ourselves, key conditions to use HL is the two triangles have to be right triangles. Another thing, the triangles have to have congruent hypotenuses. And the last thing is the set of legs have to be congruent. All right, here we have an example. I want you to see if you can apply what you just learned about that theorem right here. Okay, so I have a drawing there, and then are the triangles congruent? If so, state a reason why. Now, when you're stating your reason why on here, you need to make sure that you've marked in the drawing anything that's for free that is important for you to have in your statement of reason. Also, you're going to kind of write this as a sentence, okay? We're not just going to write like, you know, half answers that are really nonsensical. So make sure you kind of write it in a sentence form, okay? Put me on pause, and then you can come back and check me. Now, if you need help, go back to the key concepts I just talked about. There's 3 key concepts, and so you'll see in my statement those 3 key concepts stated in order to show the reader logically why these 2 triangles are congruent. Put me on pause. All right, first of all, I want to note that in my drawing, you'll see I put 2 slash marks on the common side, okay, PR. And of course, PR is congruent in the left triangle as it is in the right triangle because of the reflexive property. All right, so take a look at my statement here. I say yes, because I'm answering the question, are the triangles congruent? Yes, triangle PRS, those are in alphabetical order, is congruent to RPQ. Now, those are not in alphabetical order, but they correspond. Angle P and angle R represent the same angles as well as R. As Q and S do, okay? All right, so I said the 2 triangles are congruent by HL, and then underneath it I state my reasons, 1, 2, and 3. Both right triangles with hypotenuse congruent, that's the number 2, and then a pair of congruent legs. Okay, very good. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to write up a 2-column proof. This is something that is very formal. I'm trying to give you as much experience as possible with seeing this so it becomes easier and easier for you to do it on your own. Make sure you walk through this and understand it, okay? When I show this to you, it might be helpful for you to put it on pause, copy the whole thing, and then as I talk through it, it makes sense. All right, here we go. So again, you can put me on pause so you can copy this down, and then as I write, walk through it, talking about it, you can kind of follow along instead of trying to do 2 things at once. Okay? So I'm just going to pause for a second if that's what you want to do. Here I go. Okay, so I want to show that these 2 triangles are congruent. Okay, so I state, first of all, statement number 1, triangle PRS is congruent to RPQ because they're both right triangles. The reason? By definition, right triangles, there are right angles in these things, so they're by definition right triangles. That's step 1. All right, step 2, the PS is congruent to QR. Take a look at PS and QR. The reason that I can say that those are congruent is because they're given to me. The marks were already there. PR is congruent to PR. I marked that in blue in the drawing, and I state the reason why is reflexive property. Now take a look over at the right-hand side of my proof here. You'll see in green, I have H for line number 2 and L for number 3 because I showed when I said PS and QR are congruent, I'm stating, hey, the hypotenuses in these right triangles are congruent. So I stated an H there. And then I said the legs are congruent by the reflexive property, so I have an L there. And that's enough to show that I can now say the 2 triangles are congruent by HL. I hope that you followed that. If not, go back and review that so you did. All right, let's take a look at this one. I'm given AB is congruent to DE. C is the midpoint of AE, and angle B and angle D are right angles. Okay? Prove angle A is congruent to angle E. All right, I'm just going to simply write this one up real quick. Putting me on pause, see if you can do this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the given information, I'm going to put it into the drawing, see if there's anything for free I can get, and then go about trying to prove that these 2 triangles are congruent. Put me on pause and then come back. So you might be coming back because you're done, and that's fantastic. For some people, they just might need a little push in the right direction, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint here. So I've marked clearly in the green the things that the problem has given me, and that's enough for an HL proof of the 2 triangles are congruent. Now, some people might go after the vertical angles being congruent, but they're really unnecessary because I have enough to prove the triangles congruent. I don't have to bring in the angles and do an angle side or something like that. I have all the information I need for an HL. So once I prove the 2 triangles are by HL, I'm going to show that the 2 triangles are congruent with a congruent statement, and then I'm going to use CPCTC to say that those 2 pieces are congruent. Okay, see if you can do it on your own. Okay, there you have it. I'm saying triangle ABC is congruent to EDC, okay, by HL. That's not what they asked me to prove. They asked me to prove that the angles were congruent. So let me just make sure that you understand why. I'm saying triangle ABC is congruent to EDC. I'm saying it's by HL. So let's go through the three things. Let's see, they're both right triangles. That's number one, because there's a right angle there. Number two, hypotenuses are congruent. AC is congruent to CE. A pair of legs are congruent. AB is congruent to DE. And so now I know the triangles are congruent. Last line, angle A is congruent to angle E because of CP, CTC. And if you take a look at the congruent statement, you can see angle A corresponds to angle E. All right, I hope that logic makes sense to you. All right, that's pretty much all I have for you. However, I want you to know that I'm starting to require something on your homework that you're going to need to do in order to get 100%, and you're just going to lose points if you're not. And I want you to get 100%, so make sure you follow these directions. First thing is, and this is from this point on, the top right-hand corner, you're going to place your name and the period. You can place the date, but it's very important that you put your name, full name, printed with your period number. Okay, then you're going to write a title across the top, and I'll make sure that in the future I have the title. In this case, it's 4.7 proven triangles are congruent by HL. Make sure you have that across the top. You're not writing that in the last moment when you come in the door. You're starting your homework with all this information at the top. Then you're going to copy the problems onto your paper and neatly show your work. In this case, I'm saying for problems 1 through 3, it says state if the triangles are congruent, reason why, include necessary marks in your drawing, and write the triangle congruence. Okay, so if you look back at my examples, I did this. My reason why were written kind of in a sentence or bullet form. Okay, so you're not just kind of jotting it in there. I'm looking now for the next level of homework, and some of you really have this already. I'm very proud of you. The others, I need you to jump up and be with them. Make your homework meaningful. I'm starting to suspect some people are just simply copying answers from other people, and that's a surefire way to failure. And you're not fooling anyone because it just comes down to the test and quizzes. It's not paying out for you. So let's stop that practice. Let's start taking these videos and these practice problems seriously so that you know when you come in you need help. Okay, number 4 is a review problem. Don't just guess at it. Write the reason why in words. I'll see you next time.